For those of you who don't know this about me, about 3 years ago, I went on a podcast talking about how I hooked up with an NBA team. I was getting shrimp pasta. Stop it! It's time you.
Nos gustan los pies a nosotros. Mira, pisando está. Oye, el soldado lo va a mandar. Lo vaya a ver porque. Vaya. Para el carro, mira, para atrás la lleva, mira, ve. Ey, no, mira, pa. Ey, yo. Quítate, man, ¿verdad? Quítate,
nigga, what?
It's an evil world we live in.
Our law enforcement should not be doing this. This is why there's a big thing against police officers. It's because they have the power to decide who is wrong and right. They can decide if it's with the law or against the law. But when they go and break the law, they want it to be overlooked. Just as much as you're seeing this cop do this, one thing you have to understand, this is not the first time. As you can see, this is not the first time him and her have gotten together. This is a different location at a different spot where there's a fence behind them and a building and someone recording. You can also see the cop car is parked at a different angle. These type of situations exist everywhere. I tell people all the time, we live in an imperfect world. The worst thing that people do that causes so much depression is trying to find perfection in an imperfect world. You just have to learn how to play the game. This is why there's so much pressure on police officers. Just as much as we need them, they still have a lot of power that they take advantage of. And this is what happened to that police officer.
Jacqueline Shamari, that officer has been identified as Francesco Marlette. A department spokesperson confirms this is the same officer who in 2016, this case and this video, it has more than 2 million views online. It has only been online for about 24 hours. Police did confirm today that they are aware of this video. It is less than a minute long. In it, you see the uniformed officer with the unidentified woman. Now, they eventually get into the back of the cruiser together, and that is where the video ends. We spoke with the person who posted this online. He says his cousin shot it at the South Lawn Neighborhood Park. The state's attorney for Prince George's County says she has also seen the video, adding it is currently under investigation by Police Internal Affairs.
The difficult thing is when you are picking up things in a camera, they're somewhat one-dimensional, so you're only seeing it. You don't know the emotion, you don't know the conversation, the circumstances, and so that's why police departments have general orders on how officers should conduct themselves while in uniform, while utilizing their cruisers to prevent these types of incidents from happening. But at this point, we have no reason to believe there's anything criminal that occurred. At this point, it's an investigation of the department.
Now, the state's attorney adds at some point this case could be referred to her office. It hasn't been yet. When we checked in with the police department a little bit ago, we were told this case is still active and ongoing. Send it back.
The thing is, they don't have enough evidence to really prosecute what they think is going on. They can just go off of what they see, and what they see puts a lot of thoughts in the air. One thing that you know, when it comes to these women and it comes to men of authority, they're always throwing it at them. Why? Because it shows signs of alphaness, and it's easy for a man to get caught up. This is why we teach guys, you get in control over your desires. You control a lot of actions that you're going to have towards women. But there are women out there that are for the streets, that are complaining about being for the streets. Let's get into that video.
For those of you who don't know this about me, about 3 years ago, I went on a podcast talking about how I hooked up with an NBA team. I was getting in a hotel room. They all pulled up, and I sucked it.
The whole team?
7.
7 basketball players in a row?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
I was fucked up. I didn't though?
She said,
What happened to the nuts?
Swallowed.
All of them.
Yeah. And I will never, ever, ever live this down on the internet.
See, this is a part that you have to learn about a woman. Women are going to make mistakes just like men make mistakes, but women can make more mistakes and be forgiven. It's just that when they look back at what they've done, they just keep making mistakes until they ruin their name. One thing about a man, once he makes a mistake one time, he typically fixes it. What you're watching is a woman who's coming back mad at her actions. This is what most women are going to go through. And this is the society that we're living in, is unaccountability. But life is changing. Everything is starting to become equal. Women want to be equal to men. You're starting to be looked at as being equal to men. What does that mean? That means that a lot of these actions that women are doing is only damaging to themselves.
You must stop, broke man. You must stop for man who can bring you up and elevate you in life. You must stop bums. You give bums change, not. You must stop man who just bring you KFC and they carry you up and take your French V and eat some food. Shrimp pasta. Stop it. It's time you can level up.
This is a comedy sketch of a woman smacking her kitty cat, telling her, stop giving your kitty cat away to guys who are not worth it. I always say species in human nature is human nature. What does that mean? You cannot control who you like. You cannot control who you are attracted to. Most people that have standards and tell you their standards, they've never dated their standard at all. Their standard is actually a fairy tale fantasy that enhances their life. There's not many people that's going to tell you what they want out of a mate that has actually dated that mate. Most people are never going to get around to their standards. One thing about life that you have to understand is if you do not have a dream or a vision, you will get caught up in relationship issues. Most people who are highly sexually active and depressed from relationships, in and out of bad relationships, typically don't know who they are. They don't have anything artistic that they're into. You know, like they're not into biking, they're not into sports, they're not into anything recreational, anything creative. You have all these people doing mutters, going to the Olympics, playing certain sports, recreational games. These are people that's strictly sitting at home, worried about a mate to make them happy. They're putting their entire life inside of a relationship. This is why men versus women is so high. It's because the imaginations of people have been stripped. People don't know how to be imaginative anymore. It's just the internet telling them how to think and act. Most of this is just ridiculous. Most women are for the streets because the internet told them to be liberated. Most of these guys out here are weak as drugstore cotton, softer than drugstore cotton, because society told them to live inside of their emotions and not deal with their pain, and they're supposed to express themselves. Well, we're living in a very emotional world. The more you cannot control your emotions, the more you're going to do things that you don't want to do, that you're going to regret in the long run. Why? Because you're expressing your emotions instead of controlling them. The more you control your emotions, the more you can avoid all these things that you're watching in these reaction videos that make you feel better about yourself. Hopefully you guys are learning from the videos. Comment, like, subscribe to both of my channels. Hasta la vista.